हमने पहले जो सेशन देखा था उसमें हमने इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ द एसएपी एसएपी के बारे में जो जो बेसिक सी चीज़ें होती है कि एसएपी क्या होता है, स्टेटस बार क्या होता है, एसएपी जीयूआई क्या होता है, थीम कैसे चेंज करते हैं, वो सारी चीज़ें देखी थी। सो टुडे ऑनवर्ड्स सबको एक्सेस मिल गया है ना? आई गेस सबको मिल गया है एक्सेस, राइट?
यस यस।
So today onwards we will start learning the whatever the from the basic things of the SAP. First of all, we will start learning from the database. So there is the data dictionary topic is there. It is a very important topic as a SAP ABAP consultant. In the data dictionary, we are having the various objects like database table, views, data types, type groups, domain. So like that objects we are having to create into the data dictionary. Data dictionary is also called it as a ABAP dictionary or a DDIC. So in the most of the when you go for the interview, DDI most of the part DDIC question will ask you when you go for the interview. So data dictionary, it is a central repository system where we can create our database tables, views, structures, data elements, and all these things. So what is the table? So table means table, it is a collection of rows and columns where our actual data is present. So when I open any table, whenever I open my any table, let's suppose I will open my some table. So there is a T code for data dictionary SC11. So remember all the T codes. In future, they will ask you. I will open one table. Let's suppose VBAK table I will open. I will go for the content. I will execute it. You can see there are the lots of data is present in my this database table. In this my database table is nothing but the collection of rows and columns. Collection of rows and the columns where our actual database can be stored. Where we can store our actual database. So for so that is the definition of tables. So in the SAP, there is a concept main table and the जो header table होता है and the item table. There is a concept item table or the header table, main table and the transaction code for the different models. So there are some main tables and the transaction code we most probably use for our practice also, and in real-time business scenarios also we can use this transaction code for enhancement and data migration tools. For that we use this transaction code, as well as we use while creating any report program, while creating our classical report, interactive report, that time also we can use this database table. So there are some important tables, like it is related to the SD module. These are related to the MM modules. There are some tables. So before that, in the SAP, there is a concept header table and item table. So first of all, we will understand what is the header table and what is the item table. So header table in SAP that store the main document information, while item table stored the each आइटम रिलेटेड इंफॉर्मेशन, जो भी हमारे इसमें आइटम होता है उसके रिलेटेड इंफॉर्मेशन जो होती है दैट विल स्टोर्ड इनटू द आइटम टेबल. लेट्स सपोज I will create two tables. Let's suppose this is my main table. This is my main table. This is my item table. So let's suppose in this main table, मेन टेबल क्या होता है? इट इज अ मेनली रिलेटेड टू जो भी हमारी मेन इंफॉर्मेशन होती है, दैट मेन इंफॉर्मेशन कंटेंट्स इनटू आवर मेन टेबल, और वी कैन कॉल इट एज अ हेडर टेबल. हेडर टेबल एंड हियर वी कैन कॉल इट एज अ आइटम टेबल. मेन टेबल्स में हमारे जो भी बेसिक मेन इंफॉर्मेशन होती है, दैट इंफॉर्मेशन वी स्टोर्ड इनटू आवर मेन टेबल एंड आइटम टेबल्स में हमारी डिस्क्रिप्शन. लेट सपोज विल टेक सम रियल टाइम एग्जांपल फॉर दैट. लेट सपोज यू आर ऑर्डरिंग समथिंग फ्रॉम Amazon. You are ordering some items from the Amazon. So for that we get the order number. We get the order number. We get the customer number. Let's suppose some user like Atharva is ordering something from the Amazon. So we get the customer number, customer name also. Let's suppose we will get the customer number name. We'll get the date, on which date we are ordering. We will get the address. Then we will get the payment. We will get the, let's suppose, payment mode. So all this information, जो भी order के related जो भी main information है, that information stored into our header table. Let's suppose order number. Let's suppose we are having the order number 001. So this is my order number. Let's suppose customer name is Atharva. Let's he is ordering at the 23rd January 2026. On the today he is ordering something and his address is Pune and he is paying, let's suppose 20,000 he is paying and payment mode is UPI. So this information is stored into my header table. तो हमारे आइटम टेबल्स में कौन सा डेटा स्टोर होता है? लेट्स सपोज आइटम टेबल्स में हमारा ऑर्डर नंबर स्टोर होगा. ऑर्डर नंबर क्या है? 0000001 and also it is a 001. So it will store the item related information. This item related जो भी information होगी, that information is stored into our item table. So let's suppose it will take the item number. Let's suppose he is ordering 2 and let's suppose here we will get the product. After the product he will get the product के बाद हम क्या लिख सकते हैं? We will take the quantity, how much quantity he will order. उसके बाद we will give the price. Let's suppose he is ordering something. First product is mobile. He is ordering mobile. There is a quantity 1 and the price is the 10,000. After he is ordering, and the second item he is ordering something like earphones and the quantity is, let's suppose, 2 quantity and that is also price is a 10,000. So that price coming into the, he is paying 20,000. But in item tables we are getting the this item related information. For this single line we are getting the multiple line values. For this single line we are getting the multiple line of values. So item table, it is a description table of our header table. Item table, it is a description table of our header table. So item related information, it will stored. Whole item related table information, it will stored in our item table. So that is the difference between item table and header table. So in the SAP also follows the same rule. Let's suppose we are having the sales distribution module, SD module is there. So SD modules में क्या होता है? It is more related to the sales. It will create our sales order. It will create our billing documents. So like that information they will create. It will create our scheduling agreement. So we are having some T codes for sales order VA01, VA02, VA03. So like for the sales, for creating sales order we are having the T code VA01. To do the changes in that sales order we are having the T code VA02. If we have to display our sales order we are having T code VA03. So for this we are having the table VBAK and VBAP. When I go into the system and I will open my VBAK table, this is my VBAK table. I will go for display. You can see sales document header table is this. This is my header table. And when I open my second table, when I open my VBAP table, VBAP, and I will go for display button, you can see this is my item data. This is my item table. So अगर whenever it will create my sales document, तो सेल्स डॉक्यूमेंट के रिलेटेड जो भी मेरी आइटम की जो इंफॉर्मेशन होगी, लाइक मटेरियल नंबर, बैच नंबर, प्राइसिंग रेफरेंस मटेरियल, आइटम टाइप, इट इज गिविंग द डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ दैट some specific item. It will give the some description of our specific item. So this is my item table and VBAK is my header table. So for each module, SAP given us our header table and item table. So this is related to sales order details. This is related to the invoice details. They are having the T code VF01, VF03. So this T codes coming into the picture while you go for the enhancement only. So otherwise, you don't need to create any sales order. You don't need to go for this whole things. We are only work with our database table. As a ABAPer, we only work with our database tables. As a ABAPer, we only take the data into our database table and fetch our database into our application layer, because as a ABAPer, we can code on our application layer. So these tables, as of now, you guys can write down the table names for the reference purpose, because in future, we need these tables. For the SD module, write down the table VBAK, sales document header table, VBAP, sales document item table. These are the transaction code. These all are the transaction code. VF01, VF02, VF03, VA01. Only 1, 2, 3 like that changes are there. Otherwise, the first things are the same only. For the material management is also for the same. MM01, MM02, MM03 for material create, change and display. Once you guys done after writing the table names, for the material management, there is a MM module for the material management. If we have to create our table, if we have to create our material, we are having the T code MM01. To change our material, we are having the लिख लिया सबने? टेबल्स के नाम लिख लिए सबने?
Yes, sir.
सो नाउ अभी हमारे पास ये सारे जो है वो स्टैंडर्ड टेबल्स है, एंड दैट ऑल द नेम्स आर VA01, VA02, VBAK table, VBAK table, VBRK table, VBRP table. All are the German names because SAP is a German based software. So because of that, that names are like this only. So now we will start creating our database table. हम जो है हम tables create करना सीखेंगे. These are the standard tables only. We can call it as a standard table. Why we are calling it as a standard table? So SAP itself created this table to save some specific activities for creating our billing document. That billing document number and all these things related information stored into VBRK table. So you can see this database tables is not started with Z or Y. All these database tables are not started with Z or Y. So if our database tables or any object table name is not started with Z or Y, so because of that, that tables are the standard only. This is created by the SAP only. So now we will start creating our header table and item table. Now we will also create our header table and item table. Let's suppose अभी मेरे पास fields है to create my employee table and project detail table. अभी मुझे क्या करना है, एक हेडर टेबल क्रिएट करना है फॉर द एम्प्लॉय डिटेल्स. फॉर द एम्प्लॉय डिटेल्स आई नीड टू क्रिएट माय हेडर टेबल. So in my header table, so in this header table, I will create my employee ID and employee name. So in my header table, ये जो मेरा header table है employee table, and second one is my project detail table. This is my item table. So let's suppose this is my item table and this is my header table. तो मेरे आइटम टेबल में क्या स्टोर होगा? एम्प्लॉय आईडी स्टोर होगा. लेट्स सपोज देयर इज अ XYZ एम्प्लॉय वर्किंग इन माय कंपनी. उसका नेम स्टोर होगा, उसका डिपार्टमेंट स्टोर होगा, वो कौन से डिपार्टमेंट में है. लेट्स सपोज वो डेवलपमेंट डिपार्टमेंट में है या टेस्टिंग डिपार्टमेंट में है या क्वालिटी एनालिसिस QA में है. सो लाइक दैट वी कैन गिव द डिपार्टमेंट. उसका मैनेजर नेम दे देंगे कि उस एम्प्लॉय का मैनेजर नेम क्या है, या उसकी सैलरी और करेंसी, कौन सी करेंसी में उसकी सैलरी है, दैट फील्ड वी विल गिव इनटू द हेडर टेबल. सो बेसिक इंफॉर्मेशन जो होती है related to our employee table, that employee, that we will store into our header table, and after that we will create one project detail table. We will create one project detail table. So in that project detail table, this is the item table. So let's suppose one employee is there, there is one employee. So all this information उस एक ही employee होगा, एंड उसी एक ही एम्प्लॉय के लिए एक ही एम्प्लॉय आईडी बनेगी, दैट इज द यूनिक एम्प्लॉय आईडी. बट प्रोजेक्ट डिटेल में क्या करेंगे हम, उसी एक एम्प्लॉय को वी विल असाइन मल्टीपल प्रोजेक्ट्स. सो देर इज वन प्रोजेक्ट फ्रॉम द, देर इज फर्स्ट प्रोजेक्ट कॉल एज इन्फोसिस, इन्फोसिस का एक प्रोजेक्ट से ले सपोज. सेकेंड प्रोजेक्ट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम द टीसीएस, टाटा का भी एक प्रोजेक्ट है. और उसके पास थर्ड प्रोजेक्ट है एक सपोज कैपजेमिनी का. सो थ्री प्रोजेक्ट्स he is working on these three projects, on these three projects he is working. So that एम्प्लॉय रिलेटेड इंफॉर्मेशन, मल्टीपल इंफॉर्मेशन, उस मल्टीपल डेटा जो होगा वो हमारे आइटम टेबल्स में होगा, प्रोजेक्ट डिटेल टेबल में. यू कैन सी हम उसको प्रोजेक्ट आईडी भी देंगे, एम्प्लॉय नेम देंगे और प्रोजेक्ट्स की नेम देंगे. सो फॉर एक ही एम्प्लॉय के लिए हम मल्टीपल डेटा मेंटेन करेंगे हमारे आइटम टेबल में, हमारे आइटम टेबल में. एंड अदरवाइज हम जो एम्प्लॉय टेबल में होगा वो एक यूनिक रिकॉर्ड होगा, एक ही एम्प्लॉय होगा एक ही नाम का, और उसके लिए एक ही मैनेजर होगा, एक ही सैलरी होगी, और उसके रिलेटेड जो भी डिस्क्रिप्शन या मल्टीपल डेटा है वी कैन स्टोर इनटू आवर आइटम टेबल. So now we will go for creating our database table. So before creating the database table into the SAP, first thing you need to comes into the mind, there is the domain and data element. So if you have to create database table, so first thing you have to create the domain, and the second thing you have to create the data element. Then only you can go to for creating the database table. So before that you are not able to create your database table. So what is this domain and what is this data element? ये domain क्या होता है और data element क्या होता है? So domain tells about the technical characteristics of the field. Domain क्या बताता है, हमारी जो technical characteristics है. So technical characteristics क्या होता है? That is the data type. You can see whenever we give the employee ID के लिए हम क्या देंगे, character data type देंगे. Let's suppose I have to store the employee ID 101, 102, 103 or something like that, or some character values also I need to store. So that data type I will store into the character. You can see हमारे जो डेटा टाइप्स है इन द आवर रिक्वायरमेंट में भी हमारे पास डेटा टाइप्स है. लेंथ है, उसकी लेंथ कितनी होगी, वो प्राइमरी की होगी या नहीं होगी, उसका फील्ड का नाम क्या होगा, दैट फील्ड नेम आल्सो गिवन टू अस, दैट फील्ड नेम आल्सो गिवन टू अस. दिस इज द रिक्वायरमेंट गिवन टू अस टू क्रिएट द डेटाबेस टेबल. लेट्स सपोज हमारे पास एम्प्लॉय टेबल क्रिएट करने के लिए दिस इज द रिक्वायरमेंट, वी हैव टू क्रिएट एम्प्लॉय आईडी, एम्प्लॉय नेम, डिपार्टमेंट, मैनेजर एंड ऑल दिस थिंग्स. दिस इज माय रिक्वायरमेंट. अगर मुझे एम्प्लॉय आईडी क्रिएट करना है तो मुझे एम्प्लॉय आईडी में कौन से वैल्यू स्टोर करने हैं, मुझे इंटीजर स्टोर करने हैं, माइनस वैल्यू स्टोर करने हैं, प्लस वैल्यू स्टोर करने हैं, कैरेक्टर वैल्यू स्टोर करने हैं, या डेट वाले वैल्यू स्टोर करने हैं, या करेंसी वाले वैल्यू स्टोर करने हैं. दैट टेक्निकल प्रॉपर्टीज स्टोर्ड इनटू द डोमेन. So domain tells about the technical characteristics of the field. So domain tells about the technical characteristics of the field. If you guys anyone wants to write these things, you can also write, because as a fresher you can go for the interview. Domain and data element, like most likely question is there, what is the domain and data element. So domain क्या बताता है, it is a technical characteristics बताता है. टेक्निकल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स मीन्स आवर डेटा टाइप. डोमेन क्या बताता है, हमारा डेटा टाइप बताता है. आफ्टर द डोमेन वी आर हैविंग द डेटा एलिमेंट. तो डेटा एलिमेंट टेल्स अबाउट हाउ द फील्ड इज विजिबल टू द एंड यूजर. हमारी जो फील्ड है, एम्प्लॉय आईडी की जो फील्ड है, हाउ दैट फील्ड इट इज विजिबल टू आवर एंड यूजर. हमारा जो एंड यूजर रहेगा या हमारा फंक्शनल कंसल्टेंट रहेगा, उसको वो फील्ड कैसे दिखेगी, दैट फील्ड, उसका जो फील्ड का डिस्क्रिप्शन होगा, that description we stored into our data element. So let's suppose हम technical name देंगे employee ID and we have to pass it as a employee ID for the end user. So you will guys better understand on the system only. So let's suppose we are having the VBAK table. We are having the VBAK table. What is the technical name of this field? VBELN. So if you are developing software for any person as a ABAPer, you are creating these things. As a ABAPer, you are creating these fields. SAP ने ये सारी बहुत सारी चीजें क्रिएट करके रखी है. VBALN is there, Posner is there, MATNR is there, PMATN is there, MATKL is there. So like that field SAP created. These are the field name. These are the technical field name. बट डोमेन क्या बताता है कि ये फील्ड किस बारे में है, ये फील्ड किस बारे में है. व्हेन आई क्रिएट ऑन डेटा, सॉरी, डेटा एलिमेंट क्या बताता है. So you can see this field is about the sales document. You can see sales document. So whenever I execute my table, so end user के लिए क्या दिखाएगा, it will design as a sales document. It will design as a sales document. You can see there is a field name VBELN. It is a field name VBELN. As a technical consultant, we called it as a VBELN. बट एज ए एंड यूजर क्या कॉल करेगा उसको, सेल्स डॉक्यूमेंट कॉल करेगा. उसको समझ में क्या आएगा, सेल्स डॉक्यूमेंट समझ में आएगा, उसको VBELN समझ में नहीं आएगा. तो दैट जो फील्ड लेबल है, जो फील्ड डिस्क्रिप्शन है, वो हम कहाँ पे स्टोर करते हैं. वो जो फील्ड डिस्क्रिप्शन है वी कैन स्टोर इनटू आवर डेटा एलिमेंट. सो वन बाय वन वी विल क्रिएट आवर डोमेन एंड डेटा एलिमेंट फॉर आवर टेबल. For our this first table we will create our domain and data element. So you can see there is the radio button, domain is there. There is a radio button, domain is there. So if I have to create the domain for the first time, I will start my name with Z and I will give the domain. Let's suppose domain, and here I will pass. Here is the some, I am using the name. You can also like that, you can also use Z employee ID, and I will pass domain, and I will go for create button. So for every field, like for employee ID, for employee name, for department, for manager, for sales salary, for currency, for each and every field you need to create separate domain and separate data element. For employee name you have to create separate domain and separate data element. For manager you have to create separate name and separate data element, because every field having the different data type and different field description. Because of that you have to create again domain and data element for each of the field. So let's suppose we are having the database table, employee table. Here I will take the data element. Sorry, here I will pass the domain, and here I will pass data element. So first I will create the domain for my employee ID, जो भी मेरी field है. मेरे पास fields कौन से है, employee ID, employee name, उसके बाद क्या है, employee name के बाद department, manager, salary and currency. Department, manager, salary and currency. These are the fields. So for each employee ID, I have to create the domain. For each employee name, I have to create the domain. For department also, I need to create the domain. And likewise, I have to create the data element. So first, we will create all the domains for each field. I will go for create button. So here you can see they are asking for the short description. This is the mandatory field. You can see there is a tick mark is there. So I need to pass mandatory field. Here I will pass my employee ID. Here I will pass my employee ID, and they are asking for the data type. So in this field, in this database field, in employee ID, which type of data you store, which type of data you are storing, character value, you are storing number value, you are storing integer value, you are storing percentage value, you are storing whatever the values, you can go for the F4 help. So which types of value you are storing? When I go for the F4 help, you can see there are having the different data types. Data types is all about, it will gives us the which types of values we can store in our database table. You can see they are asking for the character, they are asking for the client, they are asking for the currency field, they are asking for the currency key field. There is the decimal is there, integers are there, integer 1 2 3 4 are there, language is there, you have to store the in the language fields. Quantity field is there, you have to store the quantity, you have to string the you have to store the string. So like that data types we are having into the SAP. So in the requirement, you can see they are given us the data type. Character is there. So we will store data type as a character, and we are have storing the length as a 3. You can see it here. We can storing as a data type character and length as a 3. So character values I can store in my employee ID field. I will select my character. And I will number of character. How many number of character I will store? 3. I will store number of character 3. I don't want the decimal place. I will directly save it. So they are asking for the packages. Yesterday only we have created the packages. So let's suppose I am having the package 8 to 9, or otherwise we are having the package Z package. I will go for save button. They are asking for the workbench request. I will click on workbench request. I will create, double click on this workbench request, or otherwise what is the workbench request? I will create on this workbench request, last one, first transport request. I will go for save. So that object is saved into my that workbench request. कल हमने देखा था, right? In yesterday's session we have seen कि how to create workbench request, transport request, how to create our transport request. So मेरा जो ये domain है that is stored into my that package and transport request. After saving it, we need to check it. So why we check it? So this checking gives us any error are there. You can see this is the status bar. This is my status bar. This status bar shows us the what is the information message, like our object is saved or not. There is the error message. There are the warning message. All these messages are showed into this status bar. So when I need to check it, you can see they are saying no inconsistencies found. मतलब हमारा जो डोमेन है उसमें कुछ भी एरर्स नहीं है. And then I will activate my object. You can see my object is activated. If you, अगर आप कोई object activate नहीं करते हो, if you are not you are creating your domain, you have creating your data element, और अगर आप वो active नहीं करते हो, you are not activating it, you can see there is a check button is there, and there is a candle type button is there for activating is there. If you have to activate using the shortcut key, there is a control F3 is there. If you are not activating your object, this domain object you are not activating, so there is a useless object. उसका कोई use भी करोगे तो भी it will gives us the error. So whenever you create anything in SAP ABAP or in SAP, you need to activate that thing. Then only it will work. If you are not activating it, it will not work. You have to activate each and everything to make its working process. उसको work करने के लिए आपको activate करना पड़ता है. So first domain we have created. I will copy this. I will paste it here. I will comma. Now I will create the data element for this domain. You can see data type option is there. Data type radio button is there. I will give Z employee ID, and here I will pass name like data element, and I will go for create button. You can see there are the 3 radio buttons: data element, structure, table type. So as of now we are seeing the data element. So what is the purpose of data element? Data element stores the field label, field description. हमारी field कैसे होगी? So that field description it will stored into the data element. When I click on S, they are asking me the short description. जैसे domain create करते time हमें short description मांगा था. So like that they are asking for the short description. I will give the employee ID. Here I will pass the domain. So for this data element, employee ID के लिए हमने कौन सा domain create किया था? This domain we have created. I will copy this domain. I will paste it here. And I will press enter. As of now, you can see हमारे data type नहीं है, length कुछ भी नहीं है. But when I pass my employee ID, domain का name जब मैं pass करूँगा and I will press the enter, you can see they will directly give the character and length is 3. That is already stored in this domain. So like that value we have stored. So in data element, we are storing our domain and as well as our field label. You can see there is a field label tab is there. Field label tab is there. So in that field label, I will give the field label. First, I will give the employee ID, short wala. For that medium, I will use employee ID. After that, I will pass the employee ID, and in the heading also I will pass the employee ID, and I will press enter. You can see automatically given us the length of the character. And I will go back to the data type, and you can see attribute tab is there. In attribute tab, they are giving us the some जो भी हमारा लास्ट चेंज कब किया है, what is the username, what is the date we have created, what is the language of our system, that basic information, generic information gives us into the attribute tab. Now I will save it. I will save into the package. I will save into my transport request. Save it. Now our object is created. But whenever I try to use in my database table, this is a useless object. Till whenever if I am not activating my object, it is a useless object. I will check it. I will activate it. Now my data element is also created. I will copy this data element. I will paste it here. So now for employee name also we need to create our domain. So how, which types of value we will store? Anybody can tell me हम employee name में कौन से types के value store कर सकते हैं? कोई बता सकता है मुझे? Hello?
String?
Which one?
It would be the characters, right? The
Yes.
strings.
Yes, it will be the character. We are not at the name place. If we choose the data type character numeric, so it will not possible because we are storing the name. If we have to storing the name, we need to choose the character. But as of now, we are having the requirement. हमारे requirement में data type दिया है. If you see employee name, they are giving us the character length is 40. Up to 40 length of the character we can stored in our employee name. तो हमारे employee name में हम कितने कौन से types का data store कर सकते हैं? Character type का and having the length of 40. So I will create the domain for name. I will create button. I will choose the radio button domain. I will go for create. I will give the employee name. I will give the type character. If you have to choose the numeric, you have to choose the numeric. There is the numeric also. There is the decimal also. If the data is consistence of the date, sometimes we are having the field like date field is there. If you are having the date field, you can choose the data type date. So as of now, we are having the character. If you are having the numeric test, you can choose the numeric. You can choose the integer as well. I am choosing the character as of now because I am storing the name. I will give the character 40. I will save it. I will save into my package, transport request, check it, activate it. Our object is activated. This is my domain for my second field. I will paste it. Now I will create my data element for that. For name, I will go for create button. I'll choose the first radio button data element. Here I will pass the short description employee name. Here I will pass my domain. I will press enter. Our character and the length is 40 is coming. It is right only. I will pass the name first for the short description. Here I will pass employee name. Here I will pass employee name, and in the last I will pass name only. I will press enter. All the length is automatically coming. I will save it. I will save into my package. I will check it, activate it. तो मेरी ये जो employee name की field है, it is created. After that, we have to create department field. So for department, I need to create the domain and data element. Here I will pass, instead of name, I will pass department and go for create. Go for create button. Here I will pass department. For the department, what is the requirement we are having? Character 40 only. I will use the character. I will use the 40. I will save it. Save into the pack transport request. Check it. There is no data inconsistency. I will activate my object. So using this domain, I will create my data element for department. Go for create button. Yes. Department. I will pass my domain name. I will press enter. In field name, I will pass department. 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 I will press enter. I will save it. Save into the package. Save into the transport request. Check it. No data inconsistency. Activate it. I'll copy this data element and I will paste into our Word file. Only Z employee name D. It is active now. I will go for next. What is the next we are having? Manager, character 30. Okay. Go for manager. Go for create button. I will choose the domain. I will go for create button. Manager. I will give the character. Here I will pass the length of 30 character. I will save it. If you want the decimal, you can also give the decimal. But as of now, we are not having the requirement like that. Because of that, I am not passing the decimal values. Activate my object. I will go back. I will create the data element for my manager. समझ में आ रहा है किसी को या कुछ है, कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, ऐसा है कुछ इसमें कि क्यों डेटा एलिमेंट क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, क्यों डोमेन क्रिएट करना है? हेलो, एवरीबॉडी इज अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि क्यों कर रहे हैं हम?
Yes.
या ऐसा है किसी को कि पता ही नहीं चल रहा है कि क्यों क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, ऐसा कोई है? I will save it. I will check it, activate it. Now my manager is activated. After that, we will go for creating our next field. Salary is there. For salary, first we will write here element for manager. Okay. Because we are using the data element in our database table, because of that I am copying here only. So in future we don't go to the back and data element and need to check one by one. So because of that I am copying here only. So otherwise हमें पीछे जाके चेक करना पड़ेगा कौन सा create किया था. I will pass the salary. What is the fee for salary? You can see they are giving the currency field. I will go for F for help. This box button you guys can able to see. This box button we called it as a F for help. So this box button will give us the possible field values. ये जो field है इस field के लिए possible field values given by this box button, given by this F for help. When I click on this, you can see it will give us the possible values. Whatever the values we can have to insert it. Whenever we go for the search help, that time we can able to in details see this F for help. We can create this search help. It is a type of help for our users. So they are giving us the currency field and they, up to 7 characters and up to the decimal 2. In the requirement only we are having the field. You can see length is 7:2. So till the 2 decimal we can stay with. I will save it. I will save into my package. I will check it, activate it. Now for salary, I will create my data element. For salary, display, salary, I will go for create button. I will choose the first radio button. I will go for next. Here I will give the salary. Here I will pass the data element. You can see currency length 7 decimal place 2. I will give the field label salary. I will save it, save into the package, check it, activate it. So now my object is getting activated. I will copy this salary data element and paste it here. After salary, if we are giving the salary to person, if we are giving the salary to some person, we also need to give the currency field. If you are passing any currency salary or any currency field in your database table, you have to pass the currency key. उस किस टाइप में हम वो जो पेमेंट मोड कर रहे हैं कि वो यू नीड टू पास, लाइक यूएसडी में कर रहे हैं, आईएनआर में कर रहे हैं, कौन से की में कर रहे हैं, सो यू नीड टू पास दैट फॉर. So for that, we will create our one more field, currency. I will create the domain. I will pass currency. In data type, I will pass my data type. You can check it here. It is a currency key up to length 5. If I choose the currency key, you can see there is a currency key for currency field. For this currency field, this is a currency key. It is directly taking number of character 5. I will press enter. I will save it, activate it, copy this data domain and paste into our data element. Here I will pass currency. I will go for create button. I will click on data element. After that, here I will pass currency. I will pass my I will save it, check it, activate it. Now hold the fields. हमारे जो भी data elements है, domains है, all we have created. All data elements and domains we have created for our table. हमारी जो भी requirement है. First of all, we will see how to create our this table. First header table, we will see how to create it. After that, we will go for yes.
सर जब आप एक्टिवेट कर मतलब जब आप पे आप फील्ड नेम देने के बाद जब आप सेव कर रहे हो ना मतलब शॉर्ट लेंथ लॉन्ग मीडियम तो उसमें जो 10 8 जो आ रहे टाइप लेंथ वो बाय डिफॉल्ट आ रही है क्या?
बाय डिफॉल्ट आ रही है, बाय डिफॉल्ट आती है. व्हेन आई प्रेस द एंटर बटन इट विल कम्स ऑटोमेटिकली व्हाटएवर द लेंथ इज देयर.
ओके मतलब ये कहीं डिफाइन नहीं है ना?
नहीं ये डिफाइन नहीं है. इट ऑटोमेटिकली कमिंग. इट्स फॉर द शॉर्ट टेक्स्ट, फॉर द मीडियम टेक्स्ट, फॉर द लॉन्ग टेक्स्ट इट विल डायरेक्टली कम.
ओके.
व्हेन आई प्रेस द एंटर देन ओनली इट विल ऑटोमेटिकली डिस्प्ले.
ओके.
सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल हम क्या देखेंगे, एम्प्लॉय टेबल कैसे क्रिएट करते हैं, दैट थिंग वी विल डिस्प्ले फर्स्ट एंड आफ्टर दैट वी विल गो फॉर द प्रोजेक्ट डिटेल टेबल. सो फर्स्ट वी विल क्रिएट होल दिस टेबल एंड आफ्टर दैट वी विल गो फॉर प्रोजेक्ट टेबल. सो यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं देयर इज अ क्लाइंट नंबर इज देयर, क्लाइंट नंबर इज देयर. सो व्हाट इज दिस क्लाइंट नंबर? क्लाइंट नंबर क्या होता है? व्हेनेवर वी आर लॉग इन इनटू आवर सिस्टम they are asking for our client number. You can see for my system there is a 800 client. So there are the some client whenever we are logging into our system. When I double click on this, you can see there is the client number is there. So for some specific client this system is designed. So if we are having this field, if we are having this client number field in our database table, so our tables are a client dependent table. Our tables are client dependent table. So if I open my any table, if I open my any standard table, you can see MNDT field is there, client field is there. If I open any other table, let's suppose I will open Mara table, which is related to my MM module. You can see it is a MNDT field is there. So this table is also client dependent and our requirement is also same. It is a client dependent. We are also the user, whatever the requirement, whoever the requirement given to us, they are also asking for the client number. So our table is also needs to be client dependent. You can see client number means the table is a client dependent. So MNDT field shows us the table is a client dependent. Table having the MNDT field called it as a client dependent or client specific table, or table does not have the MNDT field, इट इज अ क्लाइंट इंडिपेंडेंट टेबल, वो क्लाइंट पर डिपेंड नहीं करता है. सो दैट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ क्लाइंट डिपेंडेंट टेबल एंड क्लाइंट इंडिपेंडेंट टेबल. So if interviewer will ask you what is the client dependent table and what is the client independent table, so MNDT fields are available in our database table or database fields. So that table, it is a client specific or client dependent table, and if that field MNDT is not there, that table is our client independent table. So MNDT field is for the client. So after that, these are the procedures for creating the domain and data element. After that, we will go for creating our database table. So you can see database is there. So for I will create Z header, or I will give the Z H for employee table. So I am giving name like that, Z custom table, it is a header table, and it is a Z employee table. So आपको जो भी नाम देना है you can give it like that. अगर आपको Z मोना देना है तो you can give like that. अगर आपको Z अथर्व देना है so you can give like that. But for the better understanding, I am using Z. It is a header table, and which fields we are having, it is a employee table. So I am storing like this only, Z employee, and here I will pass table only, and I will go for create button. For second and third position, it is not. Go for create. Okay. Go for create button. Underscore is not permitted. Okay. Okay. So now this is a Z header employee table. This is a Z employee header table. This is a transparent table. So first thing is a mandatory. We need to give the short description. Here I will pass employee table, employee header table. And you can see here I will pass something as of now. First of all, we will see all the tabs. Tables create करने के लिए जो भी tabs है. You can see first one is the attribute tab. Attribute tab में क्या है? The username. Which user is login here? You can see it here. Which user is login here? User Naina. User Naina is login there. The date of login when this user is login. Package name. After saving my this header table, the package name will come here. The original language of my system. That system language is come here. In delivery and maintenance allowed, I need to pass my delivery class and data browser. After that, in field tab, I need to pass my fields. Let's suppose employee ID is there, employee name is there, salary is there, manager is there, department is there. Like that fields, I need to pass it here one by one. After that, they are asking for my data element. You can see they are asking for the data element. Which data element we have created? You can see this data element we have created. You can see this data element we have created for each field. If I give one here employee ID, I will pass my data element for employee ID. If I give the employee name, I will pass my employee name. If I give here the manager, I will pass the manager data element. And in this data element, I pass my domain, right? हमने data element में हमारे domain pass किए हैं, right? याद है सभी को?
Yes.
So when I give the data element, my data element में मेरा data type already is there, length is there, and short description is also there. So when I pass my data element, my data type is also coming, my length is also coming. So after that, after this field, we are having the currency and quantity field. So in this currency and quantity field, we have to give the reference table and reference fields. So if I am giving the salary here, so I need to give my currency and quantity field for that salary field. So after that, if we have to create any help desk or help check, so for that we can use it here. Check table is there. Foreign key relationship we can give it here, and for that field and data element we can give that data type is automatically coming after pass. And here is a check table is there. Check table means we are assigning some other primary key into our table, so we are checking from that table. So because of that, check table is coming. Here is the search help is there. So one by one we will see all these things into the details. So now first thing, attribute is done. Now we will go for the delivery and maintenance. Delivery and maintenance. What is the delivery and maintenance? There is a delivery class is there. So whenever I go creating the database table, मैं जब भी database create करने के लिए आता हूँ, आपने देखा होगा, this is the my first tab. This is whole my first tab. Whenever I come to create my database table, this is my first tab. So in my first tab, they are asking me for the delivery class. If I go for the F4 help, you can see there is a help button is there. When I click on this button, you can see there are the different types here. A is there application table, C is there customizing table, L is there table for storing the temporary data, C is there, J is there customizing table. So like that, this some tables are created by the end user only. As a developer, we create only A and C tables. So delivery class which is having the A and C. So they are having the application table, master and transaction data, customizing table, where we can customize data. So what is master and transaction data? ये master और transaction data होता क्या है? What is my application table? What is my delivery class? So all these things we can see. हम पहले क्या देखेंगे, मास्टर और ट्रांजेक्शन डेटा क्या होता है, उसके बाद देखेंगे हम डिलीवरी क्लास क्या होता है और डिलीवरी क्लास ए क्या होता है. फर्स्ट वी विल सी मास्टर और ट्रांजेक्शन टेबल्स क्या होते हैं. So you can see there are the three types of data in the SAP. SAP में जो भी data आता है, there are the three types of data. First one is the master data, second one is the transaction data, and third one is the configuration data. So master data क्या होता है? A data which access frequently but changes rarely. जो भी data होता है, that data मतलब let's suppose XYZ data is there. That data is accessed frequently but change very rarely. If we take some real-time example in our day-to-day life, so there is a phone number is there. So as a person, अगर हम फोन नंबर जो होता है, फोन नंबर वी आर चेंजिंग वेरी फ्रिक्वेंटली बेसिस, बट ऑन द डेली बेसिस that phone number we use. So that data is called it as a master data. A data, which type of data which is access very frequently. हम उसका या हमारा आधार कार्ड नंबर हो गया या हमारा डेट ऑफ बर्थ हो गया, दैट डेटा वी एक्सेस वेरी फ्रिक्वेंटली बट चेंज वेरी रेयरली. दैट डेटा वी आर नॉट चेंजिंग. दैट डेटा इज स्टेड सेम ओनली like decade of the times. So we called it as a master data. So what is this transaction data? ट्रांजेक्शन डेटा क्या होता है? मास्टर डेटा के बारे में समझ में आ गया, मास्टर डेटा क्या होता है?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So ट्रांजेक्शन डेटा क्या होता है? अ डेटा which always changing and the number of records are increasing day by day. तो ट्रांजेक्शन डेटा में रियल टाइम एग्जांपल लेट्स वी टेक बैंकिंग ट्रांजेक्शंस आर देयर. The data is always changing, monthly or daily basis our data is changing and new records are increasing on the day by day basis. So that data called it as a transaction data. So that data is always changing and number of records are increasing. That data called it as a transaction data. Master data किसे कहते हैं? That access very frequently but change very rarely. Configuration data क्या होता है? Data, the type of data which can be customized. Customizing depend on the business scenarios or customer requirement. तो configuration data में let's suppose you are having suppose if you are joining some company, वहां पर आप join करते हो as a junior consultant. After 2 years they will assign you as an associate consultant. After 2 years they will assign you as a senior consultant. So that according to the business scenarios, that data they will customize. The end user, the company, the client will customize that data. That data we called it as a configuration data. So these types of data we are having into the SAP. Here are the some example: master data, transaction data. All these examples are there. So these three types of data are there: master data, transaction data, and configuration data. Let's suppose delivery class क्या होता है? So delivery class is used to controlling the data transport during the installation, upgradation, and transporting between customer system. When we transport our data, so how our data will get transferred? हमारा data कैसे transfer होगा? So that will decide by the delivery class. In the name itself, they are having the meaning delivery class. How our data will be delivered. You don't need to remember that definition. In the name itself, they are having the definition. It is used to control how the data will transfer during the installation, upgrading और ट्रांसपोर्टिंग बिटवीन द कस्टमर सिस्टम. हमारे जो दो सिस्टम है उसके बीच में अगर हमें ट्रांसपोर्ट करना है हमारा टेबल, तो उसके लिए वो कैसे ट्रांसपोर्ट होगा. सो इन द डिलीवरी क्लास it is used to transport how our data will transport. So it is a application table. Application tables means what? हमारा डेटा कैसे रहेगा? मास्टर और ट्रांजेक्शन डेटा. Sometimes it will access very frequently but change very rarely. And in case it will a transaction, it will also increase the records day by day. So if I choose the A, it will also find customizing data means custom. We can do the customization in our data and maintain only by the customer only. Only customer can maintain this only. So I will choose the delivery class A. So our data will be the transparent data and master data. After that we are having the data browser. So data browser क्या होता है? Table maintenance allowed and data browser. You can see we are having the three options. बस ये टॉपिक कवर कर लेते हैं, then we will stop in the 5 minutes. Okay. किसी को कुछ अर्जेंट काम वगैरह नहीं है ना?
नो सर. नहीं.
ठीक है. तो डेटा ब्राउजर क्या होता है? सो इट विल अलाउज आवर, हमारा जो डेटाबेस टेबल है, इट विल गिव्स अस द कंडीशंस. यू कैन सी display maintenance allowed with the restriction. Display maintenance allowed with the restriction means what? If some user, if as a ABAP, as a Naina, I am logging into my system, and if I have given the restriction, only Naina can do the changes in my database table. If I have to add my field, so no other user can allowed to do the changes. So it is allowed with the restriction. तो मेंटेनेंस, हमारा जो डेटाबेस टेबल्स का मेंटेन है या उसको चेंज करना है, सो इट विल अलाउड विद द रिस्ट्रिक्शन. After that we are having the display and maintenance not allowed. If I choose display and maintenance not allowed, I will save it and go back, and I will again log in it and do the changes in my database table. They will not allow me to do the changes because our display and maintenance are not allowed. If I will choose display and maintenance allowed, then I will come into my database table and I can able to create my fields, I can able to add new fields, I can able to insert the data into my database tables. So that's all about, it is controlled by the data browser and table maintenance. These are the three options: display and maintenance allowed with the restriction, display and maintenance not allowed, display and maintenance allowed. Delivery class is used to control how our data will get transport. यहाँ पर किसी को कुछ डाउट्स है इसमें? So I will choose the display and maintenance allowed. I will save it. I will save into the package, save into the transport request. I'll go to the attribute. You can see my package name is coming. And here I will passing display and maintenance allowed because I need to add the fields. Whenever I will come back, मुझे यहाँ पर fields add करने हैं. I have to do the changes. I have to enter the entries in my database tables. हमें database tables में entries करनी है. So because of that, I am using the display and maintenance allowed. So here I can add the fields. So what is the first field we are having? हमारे पास फर्स्ट फील्ड्स कौन सी है डेटाबेस टेबल्स में ऐड करने के लिए? There is the MANDT. Our table is a client dependent table. There is a first field MANDT. This is the client dependent table. When I press enter, you can see automatically given us the data type client and the length 3, because our client, whenever the SAP has created client name, client number is always in the 3 character. So after that, I will add my employee ID, and here I will pass my data element. I will press enter. You can see character data type is automatically coming, length is coming, and the short description we are given into our short description employee ID is coming. I will save it. And you can see SAP is given us the functionality of double click. SAP given us the functionality to double click. When I double click on this, you can see I am directly coming into the data element tab. I am directly coming into the data element tab, which is having the field label, which field label for our field is having. And I will go to the data type, and you can see domain is there. When I double click on domain, I will directly go into the domain part. So there are the two ways we can create our database table. This is the top down approach, or one is the bottom down approach. As of now, we are creating our database table from the bottom down approach. So what is the top down approach and what is the bottom down approach? So there is the top down approach. So whenever interviewer asks you how to, which are the, how many ways we can create our database table, there is a top down approach, top to down, or bottom to down, bottom to up top. तो उसमें क्या करते हैं, टॉप डाउन अप्रोच में फर्स्ट वी क्रिएट आवर fields, then we create our data element, then we create our domain. और बॉटम डाउन में हम पहले डोमेन क्रिएट करते हैं, आफ्टर वी क्रिएट आवर डेटा एलिमेंट, एंड आफ्टर वी क्रिएट आवर फील्ड्स. तो बॉटम डाउन अप्रोच जो होता है, फर्स्ट अभी हमने जैसे डोमेन पहले क्रिएट किया, बाद में डेटा एलिमेंट क्रिएट किया, और अभी हम फील्ड क्रिएट करने के लिए, अभी हमने बॉटम डाउन अप्रोच देखा. और टॉप डाउन अप्रोच में पहले क्या करते हैं, टॉप डाउन इस ये जो वाला अप्रोच है, यहाँ पर हम डायरेक्टली पहले फील्ड लिखेंगे, यहाँ पर डेटा एलिमेंट लिखेंगे, वहाँ पर डबल क्लिक करेंगे. आफ्टर डबल क्लिकिंग वी डायरेक्टली गो इनटू द डेटा एलिमेंट, एंड देन वी विल सेव आवर न्यू डेटा एलिमेंट, चेक इट एंड एक्टिवेट इट. दिस इज द टॉप डाउन अप्रोच. ओके, किसी को कुछ डाउट्स है यहाँ पर, यही तक? सो रिमेनिंग पार्ट वी विल सी इनटू द नेक्स्ट सेशन. अभी यहाँ पर किसी को कुछ डाउट्स है इसमें?
नहीं सर.
सो अभी क्या करना, घर जाके ये सारे डोमेन और डेटा एलिमेंट क्रिएट करने का ट्राई करना, और फील्ड में सारे डोमेन और डेटा एलिमेंट दे देना, ठीक है? सो इन नेक्स्ट पार्ट वी विल सी द टेक्निकल सेटिंग्स आर देयर. After the technical settings, we have to mention the currency and quantity field as well. After that, we will see how to enter the data in our database table after creating this database table, how to create the TMGs, and all these things we can see into the next part. Okay? अगर किसी को कुछ डाउट्स वगैरह आ गया तो you guys can ping me. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I will stop my recording.